GHMC ఎన్నికలకు సంబంధించి ప్రిసైడింగ్ అధికారులు మరియు అసిస్టెంట్ ప్రిసైడింగ్ అధికారులుగా నియమించబడి ఈరోజు ఈ శిక్షణ కార్యక్రమానికి వచ్చిన మీ అందరికీ నమస్కారం. గతంలో మీరంతా ఎన్నికలు వివిధ హోదాల్లో నిర్వహించుండవచ్చు. అయినా కూడా ఎన్నికల ప్రక్రియ అనేటువంటిది నిరంతరం అనేకమైనటువంటి మార్పులు చేర్పులకు లోనవుతుంది కనుక ప్రతి ఎన్నికలో కూడా శిక్షణ అనేటువంటిది ఒక ఎంతో కీలకమైన ఘట్టం. దాన్ని దృష్టిలో పెట్టుకొని రాష్ట్ర ఎన్నికల సంఘం నియమ నిబంధనల మేరకు వివిధ స్థాయిల్లో వివిధ అధికారులకు వారికి సంబంధించిన శిక్షణ ఇవ్వడం జరుగుతుంది. అందులో భాగంగానే PO APOలకు సంబంధించిన ఈ శిక్షణ కార్యక్రమాలు ఉన్నాయి. అయితే మనందరికీ తెలిసిందే, ఎన్నికలు అనేటువంటివి ఎలక్ట్రానిక్ ఓటింగ్ మెషిన్ ద్వారా జరుగుతాయి. కనుక ఎలక్ట్రానిక్ ఓటింగ్ మెషిన్ పట్ల ప్రత్యేకంగా అవగాహన కలిగి ఉండటమే కాకుండా ఖచ్చితంగా అది ఎలా పనిచేస్తుంది అనేది మన గతంలో అనుభవం ఉన్నా కూడా మరొక్కసారి పరిశీలించి దానికి సంబంధించి ఏమేం ప్రక్రియలైతే నిర్వర్తించవలసి ఉంటుందో అవన్నీ కూడా మనం సొంతగా చేసుకొని పోతే తప్ప మన సందేహాలు నివృత్తి కావు. దాన్ని దృష్టిలో పెట్టుకొని ఎన్నికలకు సంబంధించినంత వరకు ఈ శిక్షణ కార్యక్రమాలు ఉంటాయి. ఒకసారి ప్రిసైడింగ్ అధికారి, అసిస్టెంట్ ప్రిసైడింగ్ అధికారిగా ఒక్కసారి మనకు ఉత్తర్వులు వచ్చిన తర్వాత మనము మనకు కేటాయించబడిన శిక్షణా కేంద్రానికి వెళ్ళి ఆ శిక్షణ పూర్తి చేసుకోవడమే కాకుండా మనకు శిక్షణా కార్యక్రమంలో ప్రిసైడింగ్ ఆఫీసర్స్ హ్యాండ్ బుక్ అని ఇస్తారు. ఈ ఖచ్చితంగా దీనికి సంబంధించిన ఒక ప్రతిని తీసుకొని సాధ్యమైన మేరకు ఇందులో ఎన్నిక సంఘం వారు ఇచ్చిన నియమ నిబంధనలు అన్నీ ప్రస్ఫుటంగా ఉంటాయి. అవి చదివి ఏమైనా అనుమానాలు ఉంటే నివృత్తి చేసుకోవాలి. ఎందుకనంటే ఎన్ని శిక్షణా కార్యక్రమాలు ఉన్నా, ఎన్ని పవర్ పాయింట్ ప్రజెంటేషన్స్ చూసినా కూడా దేనిలో అయినా కానీ వీటిలో ఈ కరదీపికలోనూ ఈ హ్యాండ్బుక్లోనూ ఉన్నటువంటి నియమ నిబంధనలు తప్పించి వేరే అంశాలు ఏమీ ఉండటానికి వీల్లేదు. అయితే ఈరోజు ఈ శిక్షణా కార్యక్రమాన్ని ప్రధానంగా అందరికీ అర్థం అవ్వాలనే ఉద్దేశంతో ఎన్నికల ప్రక్రియకు విఘాతం కలిగించే లేదంటే ఏమైనా అంశాలు విస్మరిస్తే ఎన్నికల ప్రక్రియకు విఘాతం కలుగుతుంది అని ఉంటుందో అలాంటి వాటిపైన ఎక్కువ శ్రద్ధ పెట్టి అవి ఖచ్చితంగా ఎలా చేయాలి అనే దాని గురించి నొక్కి చెప్పడం జరుగుతుంది. మిగతా సాధారణమైన విషయాలు కొన్ని ఫామ్స్కి సంబంధించి కానీ, కొన్ని ఎలా ఉంటాయి ప్రొఫార్మాస్ సంబంధించి కానీ పుస్తకాల్లో ఉంటాయి కనుక అది యథావిధిగా చేయవలసి ఉంటుంది. దాంట్లో కొత్తగా చెప్పవలసింది ఏమి ఉండదు. అంతేకాకుండా ఈ ప్రజెంటేషన్ వచ్చేసి సమయానుకూలంగా అందరికీ అర్థమయ్యే ఉద్దేశంతో 2 భాషల్లో చెప్పడం జరుగుతుంది. సో ఇంగ్లీష్లో మొదలుపెట్టి మధ్య మధ్య అవసరమైన చోట ఖచ్చితంగా తెలుగులో చెప్పటము ఈ ప్రజెంటేషన్ యొక్క ముఖ్య ఉద్దేశం. ఈ ప్రజెంటేషన్ అయిపోయిన తర్వాత ఖచ్చితంగా ఎన్నికల ప్రక్రియలో ఒక ప్రిసైడింగ్ ఆఫీసర్గా తన భూమిక ఏంటి, ఎన్నిక సజావుగా సాగటానికి తను చేయవలసింది ఏంటి, ఎన్నిక సజావుగా జరగటంలో ఎక్కడెక్కడ లోపాలు తలెత్తవచ్చు, ఎక్కడెక్కడ సమస్యలు రావచ్చు, ఆ లోపాలు తలెత్తకుండా ఉండడానికి తీసుకోవాల్సిన జాగ్రత్తలు ఏమిటి, ఒకవేళ ఏమైనా లోపాలు తలెత్తితే ఆ లోపాలు ఎట్లా సరిదిద్దాలి, అంతేకాకుండా క్షుణ్ణంగా ముఖ్యమైన విషయాలు తెలుసుకొని సజావుగా ప్రశాంతంగా పారదర్శకంగా నియమ నిబంధనల మేరకు ఎన్నిక ఎలా చేసుకోవాలి అనేది ఇక్కడ నొక్కి చెప్పడం జరుగుతుంది. సో ఫస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ I would like to start with certain salient features of general election management. In general, in elections, say if we say the instructions, there are certain general instructions, there are certain statutory instructions, the arrangements which are supposed to be made before elections, the arrangements on the poll day, and of course the arrangements after the poll. So coming to general instructions, after receiving the orders of appointment, basically the PO APO has to report to the training center concerned whenever called for at the particular location. this is one such location where you have been asked to come. So then after coming there, you have to know where you are posted as PO, because in elections everything goes on a process of randomization. Nobody knows where he or she is posted. So upon arrival at the distribution and reception center only, PO or APO can know where he or she is posted. So first know that you are posted in a party and you know your polling party. That is, your polling party will consist, depending on the number of voters, either 1+4 or 1+5, which I will be explaining to you later. So in general, you should know men who are important and the material. So what we say in elections is there is no discretion, there is no logic. We follow the rules and regulations as they are prescribed in various stipulations, strictures, rules and regulations of State Election Commission and also GHMC. So basically, men, the polling party which we have already discussed. Then the other important person is zonal / sector officer, who will be in charge of your polling station along with some other polling stations in his or her zone for 2 days. That is, he will be the immediate person to contact from the day, that is 1 day prior to the polling. From the day you report to the reception and distribution center till you submit, you deposit the polled material, that is the polled EVMs and also certain statutory reports at the reception center. So the sector and zonal officer is the next immediate contact. If you find any problem either with the machine or with the material or with men, the first and the foremost thing you have to do is, since you are not supposed to come out of the polling station, you have to do is you have to approach your zonal / sector officer. Then the next level person is RO and ARO. Then the deputy commissioner of the concerned circle. These 4 persons' phone numbers you must have. You must ensure that you get those phone numbers before dispatching to your polling station. Then the material. Usually the material will be supplied to you in different bags, like statutory and non-statutory material along with a check slip. So in the material, EVM is one part and other reporting formats, stationery items, etc., which are used in elections is the other part. On EVM front, you will have to see whether you are supplied with the same material, that is the EVM containing CU, BU pertaining to your location, your polling station or not, and the material like the election material, statutory material which also pertains to your polling station or not. You have to check these things primarily according to the check slip. Then we will come in detail to each item, how to check them, what are the important things to be ascertained before moving. So first we will come to the electronic voting machine part. In the entire elections, if you don't check your EVM properly, if you take your EVM like that to your polling station, if something goes wrong, you cannot conduct election. Ultimately, you will have to change the CU or BU if you take it wrongly or if it doesn't work. Therefore, the first and the foremost thing to remember is check your EVM properly. That is, when I say EVM, EVM includes the control unit and the number of ballot units, because you don't know how many number of balloting units you will get, because balloting units number will depend on the number of contesting candidates. So if the number is 16 and more, you may have 2 balloting units. If the number is only 16, you may have 1 balloting unit. So that will be decided only after finalization of the scrutiny of nominations and publishing the list of contesting candidates. So in the EVM, apart from balloting unit, there will be control unit, we call it. Control unit is the material, probably we can call like that. If the control unit doesn't work, election doesn't happen. Therefore, every aspect of the control unit has to be checked. Every procedure like sealing, tagging, checking, etc. has to be known by the PO thoroughly. So, on receipt of the material, what the PO has to do is, PO has to check the control unit. The control unit looks like this. Basically, this is a control unit you might have observed, you might have used in elections. In fact, even you have not worked as any officer in elections, you might have seen this while casting your vote in earlier elections. Primarily, each control unit looks like this only. There are different makes. So, this consists of 3 sections, we call them. One is the display section, which displays say information. This is called candidate section. This section is sealed actually. When it is supplied to the PO, this section is sealed. So PO has got nothing to do with this section. This will have a tag here. This will be sealed here. If it is not sealed here, you need not go further. You can simply return it and you can ask for replacement. So the first and foremost thing is, you see that this is sealed and the seal has the number. Back side there will be, the number will be written here. Say, and also this will be supplied in the separate box. This box, this will have a number. So they have serial numbers, that CU serial numbers. Both the box and also the machine should have same numbers, and also the tags. The tags will be there, the RO tag will be there. So you should ensure that the numbering is same for everything. And when pressed also, when you press this, when after switching on, when you press any total button here, this total button is here, it will display the information regarding the machine, the time, date, the number, etc., the number of candidates, etc. When you have hands-on training, you can see that. So that number and the number of the, say, machine which is displayed on various tags, seals, etc., has to be one and the same. So you check that the number is there. So once that is over, then you have to check that this is open. This is called the result section. This will be open actually. You have to operate this. This is where the responsibility of the PO comes. The PO, it has to know what is to be done with this section before starting the poll. This is very important section. You have to know. This will have two again inner compartments. We call generally CRC. This result 1 and result 2. So usually these machines are used for preferential voting also, where say 2 persons are also contesting. Then this result 1 and result 2 come into picture. Since we are using this for only single person election, the post field is only 1. You should ignore the result 2 and only operate result 1. So this is close button, this is result button, this is clear button. Usually the process, usually we call this as CRC. So you should ensure that this is open and not sealed at all. So this is open. Then everything else is sealed. This is what I think. We will come to the operational aspects later. And you also see that this is there, this tab is there, because there is a close button. At the end of the poll, the close button has to be pressed. Unless you press the close button, the process will not be completed. At the end of the poll, we will come to that later. So, and also ensure that this tab is there, because by mistake during the poll, if somebody presses the close button, no further vote can be polled in this. So you will have to check. So you ensure that this is there. అంటే మనకు ఎన్నికల సామాగ్రి ఒకసారి చూసుకోవాలి అని చెప్పినప్పుడు ప్రధానంగా రిసెప్షన్ డిస్ట్రిబ్యూషన్ సెంటర్కి వచ్చిన తర్వాత మనకు సంబంధించిన పోలింగ్ పార్టీ ఎవరు, అందులో ఎంతమంది మనకు ఇతర పోలింగ్ అధికారులు ఉన్నారని ఒకటి తెలుసుకోవటము, మన పోలింగ్ పార్టీ ఎవరు, మన పోలింగ్ స్టేషన్ ఏమిటి, మన వార్డు ఏమిటి తెలుసుకోవటము, తర్వాత మనకు సంబంధించి జోనల్ కానీ సెక్టర్ ఆఫీసర్ కానీ ఇస్తారు. అతనికి ఒక పోలింగ్ స్టేషన్లకు సంబంధించి ఒక జోన్గా ఇవ్వడం పడుతుంది. అక్కడ ఉన్న బట్టి 5, 6, 10 ఇట్లా రకరకాలుగా జిల్లా ఎన్నికల అధికారి స్థాయిలో మనకి ఏ సమస్య వచ్చినా రిసెప్షన్ సెంటర్కి వచ్చిన నాటి నుండి, అంటే ఎన్నికకు ఒక రోజు ముందు పొద్దుటి నుంచి ఎన్నికల అయిపోయిన రోజు నాడు పోలైనటువంటి సామాగ్రి ఈవీఎం కానీ ఇతరటువంటి చట్టబద్ధమైన సామాగ్రి తీసుకొచ్చి మన రిసెప్షన్ సెంటర్లో మన ఆర్ఓకి ఇచ్చే వరకు మనము జోనల్ అధికారితో ఖచ్చితంగా ఆయనతో మనం మాట్లాడవలసి ఉంటుంది. మనకి ఏ సమస్య వచ్చినా జోనల్ సెక్టర్ అధికారి పైన డిప్యూటీ కమిషనర్ ఆ సర్కిల్కి సంబంధించిన అధికారి ఉంటారు. వీరి మధ్యలో రిటర్నింగ్ ఆఫీసర్, అసిస్టెంట్ రిటర్నింగ్ ఆఫీసర్, అంటే ఈ నలుగురికి సంబంధించి ఖచ్చితంగా మన దగ్గర సమాచారం ఉండాలి. ఆ రిసెప్షన్ డిస్ట్రిబ్యూషన్ సెంటర్ దగ్గర వారికి సంబంధించిన సమాచారం మీకు ఇవ్వబడుతుంది. ఒకవేళ పొందలేని చోటు ఖచ్చితంగా అడిగి మీరు తీసుకోవాలి. ఎందుకంటే ఆ 2 రోజులు వీళ్ళ కీలకమైన అధికారులు. ఎందుకంటే పిఓ కానీ ఏపీఓ కానీ ఇతర సిబ్బంది కానీ ఒకసారి సామాగ్రిని తీసుకొని వారి పోలింగ్ బూత్కు వెళ్ళిన తర్వాత ఈ చట్టబద్ధమైన స్టాట్యూటరీ మెటీరియల్ కనుక ఇది వదిలేసిపోవడానికి ఆస్కారం ఉండదు. కనుక బయట అధికారులతోటే ఉండాలి. కనుక మనం ఒకసారి ఈ ఈవీఎంలోను తర్వాత మనుషుల గురించి తెలుసుకున్నాక సామాగ్రికి వచ్చినప్పుడు ఎలక్ట్రానిక్ ఓటింగ్ మిషన్ వాడతాం మన అందరికీ తెలిసింది. దీంట్లో బ్యాలెటింగ్ యూనిట్స్ అనేవి ఉంటాయి. బ్యాలెటింగ్ యూనిట్లో అది ఎన్ని యూనిట్లు ఉంటాయి అనేటువంటిది నామినేషన్ల ప్రక్రియ అయిపోయి పరిశీలన అయిపోయి ఎంతమంది అభ్యర్థులు ఎన్నికలు నిలబడ్డారన్న తర్వాత ఎన్ని బ్యాలెటింగ్ యూనిట్లు ఉంటాయి అనేది తెలుస్తుంది. అది తర్వాత మనం ఇవన్నీ కూడా అక్కడ పరిశీలించి చెక్ చేసుకోవాల్సి ఉంటుంది. డిస్ట్రిబ్యూషన్ సెంటర్లో మనకి ఇచ్చినవి, మన పిఎస్కి సంబంధించినవి, మన వాటికి సంబంధించినవే ఉన్నాయా. తర్వాత వీటన్నిటిలో ప్రధానమైంది బ్యాలెటింగ్ యూనిట్. తర్వాత ఈవీఎం సామాగ్రిలో దీన్ని కంట్రోల్ యూనిట్ అంటాం. ఈ కంట్రోల్ యూనిట్లో 3 విభాగాలు ఉంటాయి. దీన్ని డిస్ప్లే సెక్షన్ అంటాము, ఇది క్యాండిడేట్ సెట్ సెక్షన్ అంటాము, దీన్ని రిజల్ట్ సెక్షన్ అంటాము. ఇది ఒకసారి ఖచ్చితంగా చూసుకోవాలి. వీటికి నంబర్స్ ఉంటాయి. నెంబర్ కూడా ఇక్కడ మీరు ఈ టోటల్ బటన్ నొక్కినప్పుడు ఇందులో నెంబర్ వస్తుంది. అది తర్వాత వెనకాల నెంబర్స్ ఉంటాయి, అవి ట్యాగ్లెట్ నెంబర్లు, ఇవన్నీ చూసుకోవాలి. తర్వాత ఈ కంట్రోల్ యూనిట్లో ఖచ్చితంగా ఈ క్యాండిడేట్ సెట్ సెక్షన్ రిటర్నింగ్ అధికారి స్థాయిలో సీల్ వేయబడి ఉంటుంది. ఇది సీల్ ఉందా లేదా, ఒకవేళ దీనికి కనుక సీల్ లేని ఎడల ఇది వెంటనే మీరు మార్చుకోవాల్సి ఉంటుంది. ఎందుకంటే దీనికి సంబంధించి ఈ సెక్షన్ని రిటర్నింగ్ అధికారి స్థాయిలో పూర్తి చేస్తారు. దీనితో మన పిఓకి ఏమి పని ఉండదు. పిఓ చేయవలసింది ఇది మాత్రమే. దీన్ని రిజల్ట్ సెక్షన్ అంటాము. దీంట్లో ఈ కంపార్ట్మెంట్స్ ఉంటాయి. ఇది మనకు తెరిచి ఉండాలి. క్లోజ్ రిజల్ట్ క్లియర్ అనే సెక్షన్ ఉంటుంది. ఇది మీకు ఎన్నికలకు సంబంధించి పిఓ చేయవలసిన ప్రక్రియలో భాగంగా దీంట్లో వివిధ కార్యక్రమాలు చేయవలసి ఉంటుంది. మాక్ పోల్ చేయటము, ఈ క్లియర్ చేయటం మేము తదుపరి చెప్తాము. ఇది మీరు ముఖ్యంగా సిఈకు సంబంధించిన వరకు ఇది ఒకటి గుర్తుపెట్టుకొని ఉండాలి. ఇది సామాగ్రి అంటే అత్యంత కీలకమైనది. ఇది సామాగ్రి సంబంధించి ఇవన్నీ కూడా ఎట్లా అంటే ప్రతి ఎన్నికల్లో ప్రతి ప్రక్రియ కూడా ఏదో ఒక నియమ నిబంధన ద్వారా చేయబడి ఉంటుంది. ఇప్పుడు ఇందులో సాధారణంగా మనము జనరల్ ఇన్స్ట్రక్షన్స్ లాగా చాలా విషయాలు చెప్పుకున్నాము. మెన్ అండ్ మెషినరీ గురించి మాట్లాడాము. ఇది పూర్తిగా ఒకసారి క్రాస్ చెక్ చేసుకొని ఉందా లేదా చూసుకున్న తర్వాతే మన జోనల్ అధికారితో మనం పోలింగ్ స్టేషన్ వెళ్ళటానికి మన సామాగ్రి, మన సంబంధించిన పోలింగ్ పార్టీని తీసుకొని వెళ్ళాలి. ఇది ఖచ్చితంగా గుర్తు. దెన్ ఐ విల్ కమ్ టు ద స్టాట్యూటరీ పార్ట్, విచ్ ఈస్ మోస్ట్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ థింగ్. Out of these statutory things regarding this EVM we have already discussed. On material front there are certain stationary things like the reporting formats, some statutory reports which the PO has to do. So I will come to that. You can go through the handbook. I have been repeatedly telling you, whatever we say here, this is the thing which will facilitate you do the process better, which will make you understand the process better. Ultimately the handbook is the thing which you have to refer to whenever you find some problem. So basically there are certain formats to be filled before the election process, during the election process and after the election process. So there are different annexures are there, kindly go through them. Then the mother of all statutory formats, what I can say, the statutory reports, is the presiding officer's diary. You ensure that you get the presiding officer's diary. In the check slip, you see that first presiding officer's diary. Then after the presiding officer's diary, the other important thing is the marked copy of electoral roll. The marked copy of electoral will be supplied to you in copies, either 3 or 4 copies. So why it is called marked copy means it will have different markings like the PB. It will say that postal ballot, it will be issued to people like us who are participating in election, and some deletions, additions, etc. Some service voters will be there, like that different markings will be there. So that is the reason why it is called a marked copy. That marked copy is prepared at RO level. You ensure that you receive all marked copies, that is 2 or 3 sets, whatever it may, 4 sets, whatever it may, all pertain to your PS and your ward only. First you ensure that, and other important thing is, this is the only marked copy which should be used. Whoever appears for voting, they must be told that their name should be there in the marked copy. Whether having an epic card or some other photo voter slip which was issued earlier, that has no reference to us. Our reference is only marked copy. If somebody's name is there in the marked copy, even if he doesn't possess a, say, epic card or photo voter slip, etc., if he can provide any identity as may be prescribed by the State Election Commission, with that identity, PO can identify him as an elector if his name is in the marked copy, and he can be allowed to vote. So, like that, that marked copy is very important. Then there will be register of voters. So this is also one of the most important things, because the register of voters, the first polling officer will enter the serial number of the persons who is entering to vote in the register of voters. So that will have the list of electors who have come for voting. This is also very important thing. The register of voters, you have to check whether you got it or not. Then other declaration forms will be there, like mock poll declaration form, start of poll declaration form, end of poll declaration form, then form, say, for appointing polling agents, etc. Different formats are there. You can go through the handbook. They are self-explanatory. These are the things. Then these are general stationary things. Then there are also certain stationary items which pertain to EVM. So I will come to certain stationary items which pertain to EVM. On EVM front, you have checked the numbers, that's it, CU, BU, etc. Because you have not checked the functioning. I will come to that functioning. So what you have to do at the distribution center. Then paper seal, strip seal, and special tag. These are the 3 things in the stationery which will be used, apart from the address tags, etc., which will be used for sealing the control unit of the EVM. They are very, very important because they will have a unique number. That number has to be mentioned along with the number of tags, etc., supplied in the officer's diary. Therefore, you must ensure the number of, say, green paper seals you received. As per the checklist, you must also ensure the number of that strip seal and also special tags, etc. before moving. So this is material part. Then what are the operational things which you are supposed to check on the EVM before boarding the bus, before going to a place? First, we will come to balloting unit. So the number of balloting units will be decided, as I have mentioned earlier, decided after the scrutiny only. Say for example, here you see this is how the balloting unit looks. So here you have 1, 2, 3, etc. The slide switch is there. So at the RO level, the slide switch will be used. This will have 1, 2, 3. Why I am stressing here is, if you have 2 balloting units, only the first BU, that is where the slide switch is one, that can only be connected to CU. Because since everything looks, say, though the number is different, sometimes what happens, say, you may attach second balloting unit to CU, that will show link error. Therefore, this first balloting unit, that is the balloting unit which contains 1, 2, 3, should only be connected with CU for checking functionality. So usually this is prepared at RO level, and these are unmasked. Basically, these unmaskings are there to enable voting. So you check whether all these are working or not, like means the sound is coming or not. Then also see that these other buttons are masked, means there are no candidates here, so these are unmasked. If there is any, say by mistake, if this is say open or this is closed, you have to return. This is one thing you have to ensure. This apart, ensure that there are tags enough, so sealing will be done here. The RO's tag is here, and also here it will be tagged. This is the only thing you have to check, and also see that this portion is intact, and this is, say, this material doesn't come out, and there is no opening at all. Basically it will be tied at the RO level from inside only. You see that this is firmly pushed, and there is no loose contact as such. Then this cable has to be checked. So this has to be attached to the control unit. So you can see all these things in the videos provided by Election Commission. You can see it in detail. I am only stressing upon the important aspects. So instead of going into the functionality, because functionality itself takes a lot of time. So for each functionality, say some concentration exclusively required. So such videos are available. You can go through. Then after checking BOs, then this CO I have already told you. But the other important aspect and operational, as I have told you, that I will tell you later. So you have to open this back cover. So there is an on-off switch is there. So first you have to ensure that you have to on this. So once it is on, it will display this State Election Commission like that. After this beep will come. It will have date and also time. So ensure that the date and time is there. Every time beep will be there, and the machine serial number will come, the other data will come, and also you will find the battery level, the watt number, etc. These are pre-prepared. You need not bother. Only see whether the information is there or not. Here we have only one post. That information will also be displayed. Then for everything you will find a beep. Remember, if you don't say listen a beep, then it has to be changed also. Then here the candidates is 10 and seats is 1. Same information you can cross check with that BU whether that is there or not. Then this is the most important thing. Here it is saying the battery is high. It should be at least minimum. Medium. If it is not there during the poll, there is every chance that so the display may go, the battery may go low. So then again it will have to be changed. So this is the important thing. మనం ఒకసారి కంట్రోల్ యూనిట్కి వచ్చినప్పుడు దీనికి సంబంధించి ఆపరేషనల్ పార్ట్కి వచ్చినప్పుడు బియూలో ఎంతమంది ఉన్నారో ఆ బిఈ నాఫ్స్ పనిచేస్తున్నాయా లేదా అని చూసుకున్న తర్వాత దీని వెనక వైపు ఈ ఆన్ ఆఫ్ స్విచ్ ఉంటుంది. ఖచ్చితంగా ఇది ఆన్ ఆఫ్ స్విచ్లో ఆన్ చేసి ఈ డిస్ప్లే పనిచేస్తుందా లేదా, డిస్ప్లే వచ్చిన తర్వాత దీంట్లో సమాచారం వస్తుంది మనకు, దీని నెంబరు, తేదీ, సమయము, ఎంతమంది అభ్యర్థులు పోటీలో ఉన్నారు, ఇది దాంతో చూసుకోవడం, అందులో ఉన్నారా లేదా. తర్వాత అన్నిటికంటే ప్రధానమైనది బ్యాటరీ వస్తుంది. ఆ బ్యాటరీ కనుక హైలో ఉండాలి, కనీసం హైలో పెడతారు. ఎందుకు తగ్గిపోవచ్చు అని మనకు అనుమానం. ఏమైపోతుందంటే ఇది ఆర్ఓ స్థాయిలో దీన్ని కమిషనింగ్ చేసినప్పుడు బ్యాటరీ లోపల పెట్టి పొరపాటున వెనకాల స్విచ్ ఆఫ్ చేయడం కనుక మర్చిపోతే డిస్ప్లే పోయి ఉంటుంది. మీరు కనుక దీన్ని ఏమి పరిశీలించకుండా చెక్ చేయకుండా తీసుకొని పోతే అక్కడ పోయి ఆన్ చేసిన తర్వాత పనిచేయదు, హడావిడి అయిపోతుంది, మళ్ళీ దీన్ని మార్చవలసి వస్తుంది. దానికి మళ్ళీ ఒక రిప్లేస్మెంట్ ప్రొఫార్మర్ రాయటము, ఎందుకు అయిపోయిందో చూసుకు ఇవన్నీ ఉంటాయి కనుక ఇదంతా డిస్ట్రిబ్యూషన్ సెంటర్లోనే పరిశీలించుకున్న తర్వాత వెళ్ళవలసి ఉంటుంది. అన్నిటికంటే ముఖ్యమైనది ఏంటంటే ఇందాక నేను చెప్పాను కదా, ఆర్ఓ కనుక తప్పి చేస్తుంటే మనకు రాదేమో, అదే తప్పు పిఓ కనుక డిస్ట్రిబ్యూషన్ సెంటర్లో చేస్తే, అంటే ఇది ఆన్ చేసిన తర్వాత ఆఫ్ చేయడం కనుక మర్చిపోతే అదే సమస్య మనకు రావచ్చు. ఎందుకంటే ఆ రాత్రి అంతా డిశ్చార్జ్ అయిపోయి ఇది తెల్లవారి పనిచేయకుండా కనుక ఖచ్చితంగా వెనకాల స్విచ్ ఆఫ్ చేయాల్సిందే. ఇది స్విచ్ ఆఫ్ చేసి చూసుకున్న తర్వాత మనము ఈ మెషిన్ అంతా ఏ డబ్బాలు ఆ డబ్బాల అయితే అంతేకాకుండా నేను ఇందాక ఇంగ్లీష్లో చెప్పడం జరిగింది. దీంట్లో చట్టబద్ధమైన స్టాట్యూటరీ మెటీరియల్ అని ఉంటాయి. మన హ్యాండ్ బుక్లో రకరకాల అనెక్జర్లు ఉన్నాయి. ఆ మెటీరియల్ సంబంధించి రకరకాల ఫామ్స్ ఉంటాయి. ఈ ఎన్నికల్లో గొప్ప విషయం ఏంటంటే మనం ఏదో బట్టి చేయవలసిన అంశాలు ఏమి ఉండవు. చాలా వరకు ఏంటంటే పలానా నియమ నిబంధన ప్రకారం పలానా ప్రొఫార్మా నింపటం అనే ఉంటుంది. కనుక ఆ ప్రొఫార్మాలో ఖాళీలు పూరించటము, ఆ ఖాళీలు ఎట్లా పూరించాలి అనేటువంటిది హ్యాండ్ బుక్లు కానీ ఇలాంటి ట్రైనింగ్ సెషన్స్ కానీ లేకపోతే ఎన్నికల సంఘం వారు ఇచ్చిన వీడియోలు కానీ తెలిసి ఒకసారి పరిశీలించి ఆ ఖాళీలు నింపి ఇచ్చేయటమే. మనం సొంతంగా తయారు చేయాల్సిందే ఉండదు. కానీ ఆ సామాగ్రి ఆ మెటీరియల్ మనం తీసుకొని పోయామా లేదా అనేటువంటిది చూసుకోవాలి. నేను ఈ డిస్ట్రిబ్యూషన్ ఆఫ్ మెటీరియల్ గురించి ఎందుకు చెప్తున్నాను అని అంటే, ఇంత నొక్కి అంటే ఎన్నికలకు సంబంధించినంత వరకు ఖచ్చితంగా సమస్య ఎక్కడ వస్తుంది అని అంటే ఏదో ఒక మెటీరియల్ రాకపోవటము, చెక్ చేసుకొని పోకపోవడం చేత హడావిడి అయిపోయి పోలింగ్ రోజు ఉంది. కనుక ఈ అంత ప్రక్రియలో కీలకమైనది ఏంటంటే సరైన సామాగ్రి, సరైన వ్యక్తులను తీసుకొని సరైన పోలింగ్ స్టేషన్కి సరైన సమయానికి వెళ్ళి ఏ సమయానికి ఎన్నికల నియమ నిబంధనల మేరకు ఏ పనులైతే నిర్వహించాలో అవి నిర్వహించడము అన్నమాట. మనకి ఇప్పుడు డిస్ట్రిబ్యూషన్ సెంటర్లో సామాగ్రి తీసేసుకొని ఏం చేస్తాము అనేది అయిపోయింది. సో అల్టిమేట్లీ వాట్ ఐ వాంట్ టు సే ఇఫ్ ఇన్ ఎలక్షన్స్ ది మోస్ట్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ థింగ్ ఈజ్ టేక్ రైట్ మెటీరియల్ విత్ యువర్ రైట్ పీపుల్ whoever is assigned, then go to the right station at right time and do everything. Therefore, now this is over. The activity at the distribution and reception center is over. You have taken the material and you move forward to your polling station. Then we go to the next part. What happens when you go to the polling station and what you are supposed to. So you have taken the material and men. The party includes 1+4 or 1+5. So 1+4 is where the number of electors is 1200 or less, and 1+5 where the number of electors is more than 1200. So this is there. Then you have taken the material and you have reached the polling station along with your zonal officer and the team. Upon reaching the polling station, the 100 meters is under your control. First you must remember that up to 100 meters around the polling station is under your control. You are the officer, the presiding officer is the boss, you can call it, from the time the material reaches the polling station. So remember, you are carrying the statutory material. You are not allowed to leave the material anytime. Ultimately it is the responsibility of the PO to return the material, the polled material, along with our statutory reporting. Remember this. If you leave the material and if you give it to somebody and go back and come back, the risk is with you, and you know the election rules which are very stringent. Therefore, no material, statutory material should be left unattended. You must ensure that they are kept in safe custody. This is the most important thing. Then just look around the polling station and then the premises, and of course the area where you are going to set up the polling booth. First of all, as I have mentioned earlier, most of the things are fill in the blank kind of things. Then first you keep your stationery aside, so that after having a brief idea, a rough idea you can have how to set up your polling station based on the model available in the handbook. You can see that how to set up a polling station. The model is there. It is self-explanatory. So the space may not be that much, but sometimes you may have to confine to the available space. But ultimately the order has to be like OPO1, OPO2, OPO3, etc. and ensure that your compartment, that is the voting, actual voting compartment, that is where you keep your balloting unit, is not kept alongside a window or any place from where somebody can see that, because in election secrecy of voting is the most important. In fact, the PO has to give a declaration to that effect that secrecy of voting is not violated. So the section 602 of GHMC prescribes, and in fact the PO has to read that before starting that. That is self-explanatory. You can go to the handbook. Then after having an idea of the polling station, just set the material wherever you want, like that, the compartment, etc., the signboards, etc. Then on the day before the day, that is on the day of arrival, that is the day before polling, you just paste the list of candidates, the area of say electors, that is from this house number, the ward number, PS number, etc. Some general instructions how to use electronic voting machine. So what some information will be supplied at the distribution center to be displayed outside the polling station. Ensure that you display them in advance, because the activity will be very hectic. And there is also very important instruction from State Election Commission. Say, usually these elections are conducted in government buildings, especially schools, sometimes in private buildings also. So we may find some say material, some photographs, etc. pertaining to some personalities, say affiliated to some political dispensation. So ensure that there is no material, no photograph, no wall painting, etc. pertaining to somebody or something which is associated with some political dispensation. So if you can remove them. If you cannot remove them, say for example some wall painting, etc., try to cover them. So this is the most important thing, otherwise we will be violating the procedure. So ensure that you do that. Most of the times it is happened while providing the basic minimum facilities, say that is ensured at the RO level and the deputy commissioner. But as a PO, since the commission has specifically mentioned, PO has to know this. Then the setting up of this thing is over. So whatever to be displayed is displayed outside. Then you have decided how the station should be and you know how to do. And also ensure that you choose right person for right activity. For example, you find some say polling officer is a very dynamic, very energetic. So it is better to choose such a person to be a OPO. Most of the times the assistant presiding officer is assigned as OPO since he is trained. So if not, some energetic person probably can be say given the responsibility, because ultimately the identification is there. Say the identification part is there. If it is over, probably the most of the problems are solved. Then you choose your polling personnel and you are free to allot duties 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. depending on the number of people you are given. Then there are certain duties, say each polling officer has a separate duty. So before, say at least, in fact we are supposed to tell them if possible at the distribution center. If not, leisurely you tell them who is OPO1 and what is his duty. OPO1 is the in charge of the marked copy of electoral roll and identification of elector. That's the reason why I have told to have a basically a good person with good eyesight as a OPO1. Then the other polling officer too will be responsible for application of indelible ink on the left forefinger of the elector, and also he has to maintain the register of voters. Here we call the annexure 35 in the handbook has, you can see that the register of voters, because the serial number of the voter has to be written there. Then his signature has to be taken. If there is any remark, we will come to that, what sort of remarks can come, it has to be written. So this is also very important. So the third polling officer will be in charge of the issue of voter slips, and the fourth polling officer will be in charge of the controlling, he will be releasing the ballot. So here two things one has to remember. You should tell your OPO that, in fact the same thing has to be told to the agents whoever is present. When the other polling officer one announces the serial number, that number has to be written by the OPO2 in the register of voters, and also by the other polling officer too in the voter slip, and the agents also have to take that number. So that procedure should not be repeated, because you will be in say various activities, you will have to take care of so many things. This matter has to be clear that only once the OPO will announce that, and that will be taken, say registered by various persons like in the voters register and the voter slip and agents, etc. Then, if the number of voters is more than 1200, the polling party will have an additional polling officer. So what this person has to do? So if you see, the other polling officer too has been given responsibility of, say, applying indelible ink and also registering the serial number in the register of voters. So this activity has to be split, and since the number is more, one polling officer, the other polling officer too can be, say, given the responsibility of applying the indelible ink, and the third polling officer, in this case when you have 5 people, will be the in charge of maintenance of voters register, and the fourth one will write the slips, and the fifth one will release the ballot. This is there in the handbook. The EC has given clear instructions. Kindly go through. This is very important because rules and responsibilities must be clear, and there should not be any crisscross, etc. because charting, etc. what you have to do, what I have to do. This is the very important thing. These are the pre-poll day activities. Then we are coming to the most important thing, that is the poll day. On the poll day, already you have set them same machinery, and you also instructed them men what exactly they are supposed to do. On the poll day, the polling starts at 7 a.m. Before 7 a.m., there are certain statutory responsibilities with regard to preparation of the material ready. So here I would like to mention one thing also. So before this, in fact, there are certain proformas to be filled. If possible, the PO can fill them, the static data, on the day prior to the polling day itself. So like PS number, ward number, number of votes, etc., which doesn't change, and every proforma will have that number. So if possible, fill that on the day prior to the poll. Then on the poll day, the first and the foremost thing is preparation of EVM. So before preparing the EVM, in fact, as a part of preparation of EVM, it has to be checked that the CU and BU are functioning properly. As you have already checked at the distribution center, you have to demonstrate that, and in fact, to that effect, you have to give a declaration also. So for this purpose, a system of mock poll is there in the entire process of EVM. This is the critical thing, the statutory thing. If you conduct the mock poll properly, and if you make sure that the system is functioning properly, then you can give confidence to the agents, if they are available, that the machine is working properly and you are ensuring the free and fair election as prescribed in various rules and regulations. So make sure that you conduct the mock poll as it is prescribed. I am not going into the details of the mock poll because there are enough videographs, and in fact the procedure is also available in the various, say, PowerPoint presentations. You can go through that in the handbook also, and also have hands-on experience on how to conduct the mock poll when you go for hands-on training. So in the part of preparation of EVM for mock poll, you connect the CU-BU and you vote at least 50 votes as prescribed. Like switch on the power button, then ensure that there are no voters, and then ensure whatever the display says, the date, time, etc., everything is correct. Then be ready by 6 a.m. that is 1 hour before the actual poll for mock poll. Say, wait for agents. If they come for 10-15 minutes, wait till 6:15, no issue. If nobody turns up even after 6:15, just you conduct the mock poll as prescribed without waiting for any agent, political party agent, basically. So even if they come in between, you should not stop the procedure in between. You are not allowed to do that. If you start the mock poll, it continues. In fact, they are not allowed. So they can simply watch it, because since they are not there at the time of, say, starting the mock poll, so you should not allow them to intervene in the process. You can conduct the mock poll. You can complete the mock poll. You have to clear the machine. Kindly go through the procedure, see the enough videos, have a practice. Then see that the machine is cleared. before sealing it, so providing that all tags etc. I am going to tell you. You see that the machine is cleaned, that is there are no votes polled. Press the total button and ensure that the number of votes polled is 0. Then only you proceed for sealing. So in the sealing part, go through the video clearly. The book mentioned, the handbook mentioned step-by-step procedure. You have conducted you have cleared that. Then there are two compartments inside. Inside you have to close the result section with a special tag which is mentioned. You will be supplied with a couple of tags, and remember the number of the tag has to be written. So take the number of the tag before, because this will be placed inside, and over this there will be, say, another cover will be there. You can see the video and you can see also see the PPT which has in detail. Then after sealing that, in the inner side you will have to insert a green paper seal. So insert the green paper seal. On the green paper seal, the agents of various parties and contesting candidates are allowed to vote. So just for a moment I will show you here how it looks. So for demonstration purpose you can have. This is what I was referring to. This is the result section. This compartment is there. Here you will have to keep the green seal. Go through the video. Not here. Here. You go through here. Green paper seal will be there. After pressing the green paper seal here, see that the two sides are protruding outside. Then this special tag is there. This will have a number. This special tag here number is there. You can see that. In fact, while going for hands-on training also they will show. Here this special tag has to be fixed. And the other important, the most important thing, the most important precaution you have to take is, while inserting this special tag, you should not touch the close button. If you touch the close button, what happens? You have closed the poll and no vote will be cast. If you connect this after pressing the close button, the system will say invalid. So make sure that this special tag is inserted with lot of care without touching the close button. By mistake, if you touch it, don't hesitate to do the CRC again. Switch off, switch on, do the CRC again. That is, close again, go for the result, then clear. Then it will be used again, and then be doubly sure that you don't do this. Then after sealing this, here the green paper seal will come here and here. You can see the video. Then come here and seal this first. You see the video also. Seal this with the address tag provided to. While sealing, ensure that this knob is here closed. Because why this close is open? After the end of the poll, you have to close. That is the reason why this perforation is there. Then you can close. Otherwise, what happens if you don't close it? If you keep on pressing that, the votes will be cast. So closing is very important, and also ensure that during the poll, until the poll is closed, this knob is not touched, and this is in this position only, and nobody knows what is there inside. Then this green paper seal has to be sealed with a special strip seal that we call ABCD seal. So that ABCD seal has to be sealed as it is prescribed only. Don't do otherwise. Kindly have hands-on experience. There are enough ABCD seals are there. Go through the video and do on your own. Then only you will know how to do. And don't do otherwise, because I have already told you in elections, we have to do whatever is prescribed as per the rules. So you cannot wrap it around at your wish. It is not allowed. You have to do as it is mentioned. You have to practice and you have to learn. That's it. And ensure that while doing this close button section is not disturbed. So you don't wrap around this. So ensure that you wrap from here. That is the system A, B, C, and then it will roll around like this, and D will come here. The system is there. Then you see, you go through the video and you will know. So, and also remember, I am repeatedly telling you, before closing this itself, the special tag number has to be noted. Remember, I have been repeatedly telling, because if you don't take the special tag number, you will not be in a position to write in the presiding officer's diary the special tag serial number. Then if you close this and if you forget that, again you will be forced to open this. So that will render wastage of green paper seal, and sometimes you will be provided only couple of green paper seals. If you run out of green paper seals, again you will have to ask your zonal officer, and there will be so unnecessary operational problems will be there. Remember, these are very clear cut instructions. The most important thing, sealing, don't touch the close button. Take the special tag number inside, the number will be there. Write down, it will be better if you write down even before putting that. Then green paper seal and its number, and then ABCD strip seal, and of course this regular sealing. This is, now this machine is ready, right? So this mock poll is over, and now that is ready, the mock poll is conducted. Now you will give a certificate to that effect that the mock poll has been conducted. If there are agents, you can take the signature. There are performers, you kindly go through them. Most of them are self-explanatory. Then after conducting the mock poll at the 7 AM sharp, you follow whatever watch you are using, just follow that, and you don't wait for anybody. At 7 AM, you declare that the poll is officially started statutorily, and to that effect, a declaration pro forma is there. You prepare the declaration, you sign it. So because you don't so do that afterwards, sometimes we tend to think that all forms we will fill later. No. The mock poll certificate, the declaration of start of poll. I have repeatedly told you in election, the simple thing is right men, right material at right place and doing the activity at right time. That is, the mock poll has to be conducted and the certificate to that effect has to be given before 7 AM. And also, the start of poll certificate has to be given by the PO at 7 AM. Because in between you may get election officials, say, observers may be there. Say if there is a micro observer, in fact he will have to say go through all the proceeding. It has to be done in front of him. There will be webcasting, so there may be videography, etc. Some observers, some nodal officers, or some election authority or authorized person may come. They are allowed to check. Some of them are allowed to check. Some observers, central observer, senior IAS officer may come and ask for, say, the mock poll, etc., certificate, etc. So you do these things. These are statutory things whenever they are supposed to do. There is a check slip also. In fact, in the PowerPoint presentation, there are certain flowcharts given for your, say, ready reference. You kindly go through those flowcharts. You can conduct the elections, in fact, easily. But however, here we are discussing at length so many things. So this is the most important thing, and 7 AM the election is started, and you just follow the procedure: identification, applying indelible ink, registering a voter of register of voters, then voter slip, ballot release, etc. This process goes on, and PO will have to observe everything. So this continues. Then after start of the poll, there will be reporting. Every 2 hours, the number of votes polled has to be reported by the PO to the returning officer through his sector oblique zonal officer. So there he has to report the total number of votes will be already there, the number of votes cast and in which men and women. So for this purpose, what he has to do is, in fact the instructions are also there, a red pen will be supplied to them. So the first polling officer, after identification in the, say, marked copy of electoral roll, marking has to be done in that. That is, he has to cross the voters who has voted, and for female voters, the serial number of that elector has to be rounded. So PO has to count them regularly and cross check. Because you know, PO is a supervising officer. PO actually does not participate in this activity of identification, indelible, applying of indelible ink, say voter slip, etc. The other polling officer, he has to, say, supervise overall. Therefore, he has to do that. This he has to report hourly. Then you go through that. So this continues, this process continues till completion of poll. If there is any problem, kindly inform to your concerned officer. If machine problem is there, they will act accordingly. So the problems are issue specific, so you can go through the handbook, and you are always allowed to take the handbook as a ready reference. You go through that and the problem will be solved accordingly. Then during the poll, there will be certain instances. Most of the things are self-explanatory. Some more important things I will tell you. The instances are like the most important instruction this time we are giving is the tender votes. What is the tender vote? For example, some person comes that he has to vote. You will identify he is a voter, but somebody has already voted. This case may arise. So how it comes, that's a different story. EPO is not there to think what happened to the electoral roll. It is not his responsibility to prepare the electoral roll. Say, even by mistake also, don't bother. Such voters, if you can identify his identity, if the voter, the elector presents enough evidence that he has a vote, then that person has to be allowed to vote. That is called tender vote. You will be supplied with tender ballots. So the tender ballot is a separate, say it will be nothing but a ballot which is, it will have the same things. Yeah, what exactly are there fixed in the balloting unit. So he can vote, and those tender ballots should be separately kept in a cover which is provided exclusively for keeping the tender ballots. It is very important because the tender vote means it's an impersonal vote. Basically, somebody, some X has voted for Y. The reason whatever may be. So if the number of tender ballot say used, if the number of voters coming up is more than 0.1% this time, that may change also. Keep a note on it depending on the instructions. Then the commission may think of repoll, and if there are the number of tender votes has to be informed to the State Election Commission through the returning officer and district election authority. Therefore, kindly go through the tender ballot and the procedure for tender ballot thoroughly, because this is one situation which may arise and where you have to do. If you say go through that whenever that arises, that will be a problem. So kindly go through the tender balloting and ensure that. Then there are other different cases like challenge vote, blind informed votes, underage looking votes, etc. Then, and I will say one other aspect. So sometimes what happens, you find the number of electors say come for voting is different from the number of votes actually polled. So the reason is, say X has come, he has followed the procedure until receiving the voter slip, and suddenly has decided that he doesn't want to vote anybody. You are not there to force him to vote, or you are not there to force him to vote X, Y, Z. Under such circumstances, that elector, though his name is entered in the voter slip register, though he has been supplied with a voter slip, though he has say the indelible ink has been applied on his left hand forefinger, he has not voted. Means the number of votes cast in the machine will be less than the number of votes mentioned, the number of voters mentioned in the voters register. So ensure that if such thing is there, refuse to vote has to be written against the remarks column in the register of voters. Remember, that fact has to be written. So if somebody decides to not to vote, don't force him, simply you write, and this has to be mentioned in the presiding officer's diary, and ultimately the votes, the number has to tally. So this is what. Then the close of poll. Actually, the close of poll is 5 p.m. here. 5 p.m. means you should not actually close the process, but at 5 p.m. no elector, additional elector is not allowed in the queue. So at 5 p.m. the PO has to ensure that the gates, whatever are closed, Then the slips are issued from the last person in the order of 1, 2, 3, and all those electors who are available at 5 p.m. at the polling station waiting for voting, casting their vote, must be allowed to vote. So after exhausting this, after all voters are exercise their franchise as per the rules and regulations, then the closing process has to be started. So there are certain couple of important things what the PO has to do during this process. Sometimes the PO may find time in between. So during that time, these forms, statutory forms, some details which he can fill, the static details, for example, the PS I have already told, the PS number, ward number, number of voters, etc., like the seals numbers, the number of seals supplied, the paper seal number, etc. He can fill them in the prescribed proformas so that the process can be completed easily, because the closing of EVMs is there, so the process can be completed. Then after exhausting all the voters, he has to press the close button. Then the PO has to ensure that after closing, the balloting unit and the control unit are detached, and the most important, remember, the most important thing is you have switched off the power. If the CU is not switched off, what happens? By the time the CU is taken for counting, the battery may get completely discharged. So there will be a problem while counting, that there won't be any display. So remember that the CU is switched off. It is mandated. The PO has to check twice, thrice, etc. You have to check that the display is not there and the machine is switched off. Then you seal the material. Then another important statutory is the PO diary, I have already told you. Then there is an account of votes recorded. So this account of votes recorded will be cross-checked with the account of voters and also the votes in the control. These three things basically while counting, what they take is the account of votes, the presiding officer's diary, and the register of voters. Three things usually these, and if there are any tender votes, there is an proforma. These three proforma, we call them 34, 35 and 36 annexures. Kindly go through the handbook. They are there. These are very, very important because they are statutory. They are taken out during the counting. So remember. So if there is any discrepancy, they are immediately referred to. Therefore, ensure that you fill them properly and take the material, putting them in, say, wherever is required, and statutory covers, all are self-explanatory. Go through the check slip. Different pockets, different covers are there. Keep them accordingly, make them ready, and make sure that you board the bus along with your material without leaving anything. Most importantly, the EVMs, the statutory material, and also the personnel, whoever is coming. Ensure that you reach, and upon reaching the distribution center, go to the designated center. Probably by then you will be exhausted. So this is also very important, because you may be thinking that since the process is over, you may not say be in a position, you will be hurry, say you may have think of dumping the material there. So though you have conducted meticulously, if you fail to provide the material wherever is supposed to be, say, handed over, it will be very difficult. So usually there will be separate counters. The special counter will be there, the general counter will be there. Why they call it special counter? The special counter will have the material, EVM, statutory covers, presiding officer's diary, say cover containing the form, I told you that form 34, 36, 35 is the statutory material, etc. Because this is kept separately, because the EVMs and the statutory material, these things are usually kept separately because they are used for counting, and the remaining non-statutory, there are separate say guidelines to say preserve certain material for certain time. That is taken care by the district election authority level. You are not supposed to think. You only thing is you just hand over the material wherever it is required to go. So do that. and ensure that you give enough attention towards this reception also, and have a peaceful election. And kindly go through your handbook. And there are two other things before closing. I would like to mention the two important things. One, there are different instructions. Sometimes some looks relevant, some look irrelevant, say some look ridiculous also, somebody say. So don't interpret any rules and regulations. You are not allowed to do that. Kindly don't do that. Just follow instructions. If you don't understand, read repeatedly and follow the instructions as they are. Secondly, go through the videos. There are enough videos. The State Election Commission has provided videos, and the Election Commission of India, especially EVM. So only one thing, the difference what you find will be rather the numbers. So the contents more or less the same, only the numbers are different. That is, there will be some different forms. Here we will be using different forms. Ensure that those say videos are say you have gone through them thoroughly. And other important thing is, since you are a voter, it is your responsibility to vote. So more than 50,000 people like us will be participating in the election. So we are also citizens of this country. So we have to franchise our vote. Kindly ensure that you submit, if you are a voter of GHMC, you submit your Form 12 to obtain postal ballot in advance. That is, at least during the second training, so that can be given to your concerned circle deputy commissioner, then in turn to RO, and they will arrive at the number of postal ballots to be required, and you can easily say they can easily supply it to you. So sometimes if you give late, probably they may not have enough postal ballots to supply to you. So kindly ensure that postal ballot, you apply for the postal ballot, and also you use your rightful vote, because the Commission and the GHMC has been taking up various activities to create voter awareness. Therefore, this is the most important thing. 50,000 officials is not a joke. And on election front, I have told you and finally telling you, if you fail to understand the procedures, etc., anything, in the PPT there are 3 flowcharts. Just follow them in the order, you will do the election. Final thing. All these things are there. Just follow them as they are there. Your election is done. So have a peaceful election. Thank you. Have hands-on experience. Yeah, separate counters are provided. Clear your doubts with the deputy commissioner or the in charge, whoever is available at the venue. Clear your doubts. Have peaceful and good election. Thank you.